Now the birth of Jesus Christ was thus. When as his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost. Matthew 1:18, 1599, Geneva version of the Bible. Give thanks. This week's episode was inspired by an inquiry from my dearly beloved niece. Give thanks for the youth. Are West Indians the descendants of the first Christians? Welcome back to the mystery. Just wanted to share with you this seasonal episode on our Harmony of Heritage, which is a series exploring indigenous Israelite and West Indian Seminole shared roots. West Indian Seminoles are indigenous peoples of the Americas of African descent. Seminoles, who are Maroons in English, have been Christian from inception. Maroons, Seminoles, were a mix of indigenous Indians and Africans who escaped slavery instituted under the first slave code in Barbados and then in other colonies of the British after 1661. From May 29, 1680, through to November 7, 1693, the Spanish Crown issued decrees freeing all escaped slaves who escaped and accepted Catholicism in their own Spanish colonies and from English and French colonies. These resulting populations of freed Christian captives would form the first Seminole Maroon communities, an early example being Fort Mose, built by Seminole Maroons of St. Augustine, Florida in 1687. There are also numerous examples of Catholic and Baptist synthesis with African traditions, resulting in Maoism, Santeria, Voodoo, Trinity Baptists, and other practices among West Indians. We also have notable communities of Muslims and Black Jews, particularly in Suriname, who are descendants from conversos, Morrisicos, forced to abandon their religious identification outwardly to adopt Christianity during and after the time of the Spanish and Portuguese Inquisitions of 1478 through 1834 and onward. Many of those converted Jews and Moors migrated to the West Indies upon their first discovery by colonizers in 1492 through to the early 1500s. So we know that many West Indian Seminoles were Christians as a result of Indo-European colonization. However, were they Christian before then? I'm reading Dum Diversas from Indigenous Values Initiative. Papal Bull Dum Diversas, 18th of June, 1452. Pope Nicholas V issued the Papal Bull Dum Diversas on 18th of June, 1452. It authorized Alfonso V of Portugal to reduce any Saracens, Muslims here in parentheses, and pagans and any other unbelievers to perpetual slavery. This facilitated the Portuguese slave trade from West Africa. The same pope wrote the bull Romanus Pontifex on January 5th, 1455, to the same Alfonso as a follow-up to the Dum Diversas. It extended to the Catholic nations of Europe dominion over discovered lands during the Age of Discovery. Along with sanctifying the seizure of non-Christian lands, it encouraged the enslavement of native non-Christian peoples in Africa and the New World. Weighing all and singular the premises with due meditation, and nothing that since we had formerly by other letters of ours granted, among other things, free and ample faculty to the aforesaid King Alfonso to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and pagans whatsoever, and other enemies of Christ whatsoever placed, and the kingdoms, dukedoms, principalities, dominions, possessions, and all movable and immovable goods whatsoever held and possessed by them, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, and to apply and appropriate to himself and his successors the kingdoms, dukedoms, counties, principalities, dominions, possessions, and goods, and to convert them to his and their use and profit, by having secured the said faculty, the said King Alfonso, or by his authority, the aforesaid Infante justly and lawfully has acquired and possessed and doth possess these islands, lands, harbors, and seas, and they do of right belong and pertain to the said King Alfonso and his successors. End quote. So who are the Saracens? They are among the West Indians as the descendants of the people of the captivity, the Great Captivity. This edict of the Dum Diversas was used as the justification for the doctrine of discovery, which was used to colonize much of the world and enslave Africans as well as indigenous West Indians. In Africa and the New World, the Americas, once called the West Indies. Well, so it was called by its early settlers from Iberia, Spain, Portugal, and from people throughout much of Europe. The Saracens are Saracen, and I read from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Saracen in the Middle Ages, any person, Arab, Turk, or other, who professed the religion of Islam. Earlier in the Roman world, there had been references to Saracens, Greek Sarakenoi, by late classical authors in the first 3 centuries AD, the term being then applied to an Arab tribe living in the Sinai Peninsula. In the following centuries, the use of the term by Christians was extended to cover Arab tribes in general, and after the establishment of the Caliphate, the Byzantines referred to all Muslim subjects of the Caliph as Saracens. Through the Byzantines and the Crusaders, the name spread into Western Europe, where it was long in general use and has survived until modern times. I'd like to further read to give us a better understanding of who are the Saracens. Why were Arabs and Muslims called Saracens in the medieval and the Renaissance literature? This is by Hamid Suleiman Abuthawabe, M.A., at Al Hussein bin Tal University, Jordan. And I quote, "It is worth mentioning that the name of Saracen appeared not only in the literary works, but in political documents as well. The ancient Roman administrative document of Notita Dignitatum, which enumerates the major offices of the government and the army units of the late Roman Empire, contains the name of Saracens along with the name of Arabs. The Saracens were distinguished from Arabs as 2 different comprising units of the Roman army." In parentheses, Resto, January 2014. The Roman document of Notitia Dignitatum is very important for this research, in part because it reveals that the name of Arabs was also known and used in Latin and Greek, which were the official languages of the Roman Empire, and in part because it reveals that the name of Saracen was not always used in a negative way. In this vein, the name of Arabs was widely used in the major languages of the people who had contact with the Arabs and Muslims, such as the Persians, Turkish, Kurdish, and Chinese languages. I'd like to further read for you, continuing on that same article. Does the word Saracens refer to people sharing certain characteristics, and what are the characteristics that these peoples have in common? My answer to the above questions come as a main aim of research. Basically, ethnicity and religion have nothing to do with the use of the word Saracens, although it was often used to describe groups of people with certain religious beliefs, usually pagans. It is the color which gave this name. All peoples that were referred to as Saracens have the same skin color. It is the color of buckwheat, which was heavily focused on when describing these people in the second above excerpt from the medieval romance King of Tars. The Sultan of Damascus is described as a pagan with black skin, and when he converts into Christianity, his skin tone changes from black to white. The color black is thus heavily present in the King of Tars, and it is prominently present wherever the Saracens are mentioned as well. It is therefore worth considering the concept of color when the word Saracens is investigated as a description of certain peoples who share certain characteristics, end quote. And I just want to further read for you from the Warburton Council, Saracens, Origins and Characteristics. The Saracens, they were a group of nomadic and semi-nomadic peoples who ruled the Middle East. It is presumed that they were people from Asia Minor who migrated to occupy lands near the eastern end of the Mediterranean, where today Lebanon and Palestine are. And I'll skip to another interesting part on whether they're Arabs, although the term later mutated and was used to denote the religious preference of various ethnic groups. In principle, Saracens referred to a specific one that at the time was markedly distinguished from the Arab people. This last aspect shows that they would be migrants from Asia who crossed the entire Middle East area up to the geographical limit imposed by the Mediterranean Sea. On the other hand, there is also the possibility that their origins are African, and that they correspond to human groups that slowly moved from East Africa to the Sinai region, traveling great distances north. Some written testimonies that account for the dark skin of this ethnic group can give legitimacy to this scenario. In any case, in this area always convulsed and well into the 6th century, an event occurred that still marks history today. More precisely, in the year 630 A.D.C. arose the Prophet Muhammad, and with him a religious revolution that spread throughout the Arab Peninsula, end quote. Just wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that you can purchase the Israelite Samaritan version of the Torah and the 1599 Geneva and other versions of the Bible predating the 1611 King James Version using the link below to Amazon, with which we are affiliated. Thank you. Now back to the cast. So what does all this mean? It means that although they, being Saracens, at times are conflated with Arabs, Saracens are certainly not Arabs. You'll find many ancient sources confirming this. They are certainly indigenous to Arabia and the Sinai, the Levant, the land between Mizraim, Egypt, and Canaan, Africa and Asia. However, Saracens were not Arabic, as they didn't even speak the Arabic language until they were incorporated into the Muslim empire much later than their time of origin. So no, they also are not, or were not all Muslims, or could be equated solely with being Muslims as they preceded in terms of time Muhammad, the founder of Islam, who rested in 632 AD. By all accounts, the Saracens, as the term was used to describe a people that existed prior to 196 AD, people of Palmyra, Syria, Arabia, people who inhabited the same places that were inhabited by early Christians, the places to where early Christians, meaning Christians right after the resurrection of Christ, these Christians lived. Give thanks. To understand more of the story, to gain more of the story of the Saracens, read Misstory of Our Ancestry by Morrison with the link below, and tune in next week as we continue to explore our harmony of heritage with the early first Christians of Israel. Give thanks. Join us. And remember to check out our Patreon page for patron privileges at patreon.com/wistribe. That's patreon.com/wistribe. Peace. Give thanks. Are you tired of working that 9 to 5? Gotta scrimp and save just to survive? Come get the tools you deserve to thrive when you decide to take the dive into the pursuit of your own bliss. Come learn how to start a business. For the book or the course, you just need to go to the website linked below. All brought to you care of Online Pro. CUSH Cash Consulting is sure to result in your dreams coming alive as wealth multiplies for our scholars and investors. Come deal with the best of our budding entrepreneurs. Contact us to learn more at CUSH Cash Consulting. Email Morrison at cushcashconsulting.com and sign up for classes using the linked form. Give thanks.